Welcome, everybody, to this episode of the Waiting in Queue podcast, brought to you by the Game Phreeks channel, episode 111.
It's 112, actually. I checked.
What?
I don't know. I'm just throwing you off.
Well, usually you throw out like an outlandish number.
I was going to.
And the way you said that made it sound like I just checked. Like I seriously actually just checked. Should be 111. You know, one of the more penile numbers.
It is
3 in a row.
It is 111.
Too bad I don't have my
111 confirmed.
You're trying to get rid of our sponsorships? We don't have sponsorships.
We don't have sponsorships.
We're looking for one, but you know, everyone says we're a little too funny that it takes away from the sponsorship.
I wish that was the case, because then never mind. I wish that was the case. I really do. Because then we'd be rolling in it.
Well, we're not, because we're too funny.
Derek.
Hmm?
You just put Popeyes right there on the screen.
Katie's the one that switched it to the one screen.
You were talking.
I was slurping.
I'm kidding. All right, so.
Well, obviously we're here to talk about Diablo 4 beta.
We should have waited till episode 666.
That would have been a long time to wait. I think
we'll come back to it.
Diablo 5 would be out by then. Who we can. They're probably going to stop at Diablo 4.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a live service one. So,
Yeah,
the beta is out. It was out this weekend.
You were able to play, what was it? The
Barbarian,
Sorcerer,
Rogue.
Just the 3 this weekend, and then next weekend,
the big hitters, the one
big...
that everybody wants to play. Druid. Druid and Necromancer. I'm playing a Druid.
I'll be playing the Necromancer. I wanted to try and get a little bit of everything, you know, played in.
There's
but
not enough time.
Not enough time. Well, not for me.
Not for us.
Yeah, not for us.
I mean, I did play 2 characters up to like 15, 16, but even I'm got other things going on outside.
Yeah,
of the game.
I wanted to get a character at least at 25, but I was just too tired.
Yeah.
Oh, sleepy boy.
Well, the world bosses were supposed to spawn at 1 a.m., but they didn't change it because of they
Time
set
change?
the times before the time change, and then they tweeted out that morning, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, daylight savings doesn't happen in Sanctuary, so it's actually 2 a.m., not 1 a.m." And I was like,
No, so somebody fucked up, and they
ooh.
were like, "All right, well, how do we fix this?"
"Yeah, that sucks."
We make the players look like the idiots.
Yeah. So I stayed on until 2 a.m. to do it.
Yeah. Was it cool? The boss?
Yeah, it was cool. It's not like it's what you expect. It's like just a giant Diablo boss with like a bunch of mechanics, and then there's like 25 people there fighting, which was pretty dope.
Yeah.
To see. The spawning was really cool, and then it shows up on the map 30 minutes before it spawns.
Oh, okay.
So it tells everybody like, hey, there's going to be a world boss event here, and everybody like.
Is there an actual countdown for it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, there's an in-game counter by seconds, and then I went, or like minutes and seconds, so like you can see the seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, and I sat there for like 10 minutes, and like walked away from the computer. Well, I got there about like 20 minutes early, and there was like a bunch of people just chilling there waiting for it, and it was cool.
Yeah.
There's only going to be 3 in the game's release. They're definitely going to need to add more, I think, because and it drops a shit ton of legendaries.
Does it?
I think I got like 6 or 7 legendaries off of the kill, and they stay up for 14 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It took us like 9 minutes to kill it. 20 of us.
Okay.
Most people at level 25.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was cool.
Cool.
What did you think?
So I played the sorcerer. I like spellcasty classes, but when I played Diablo 3, I played the monk, so I'm not afraid of, melee types in these types of games. I was planning on trying the other classes, but I didn't get to it because I was trying to play with the sorcerer and try to get them to level 25. But when I played around with it, there was one particular set of skills that you can't ignore, like the lightning skills, the chain lightning. Yeah. Well, when I tried everything else,
like super
it was super overpowered, and it was to the point where it's like I can't play this sorcerer any other way. So, although I think when I play like Diablo games, I do kind of like trying to build my character around being a specific damage type, because it's just like you're just like all lightning ability, all fire, all ice. That's just something I like to do, just like on my own. So I thought that was cool, but when I wanted to try and change it up, I was like, all these other spells and abilities, they're just so impractical compared to this lightning skill. So that was kind of something that I was like, well, I kind of feel like I have to play this character this way right now. So hopefully they're going to nerf the lightning skill tree and bring up some of the other abilities.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the difference is in the beta, if any, or if it just is unlocking the other characters. But I thought like this was like the pre-alpha beta that they like everybody else got to play a while ago, and then the next one is like the full game beta.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is like not a lot of the game is going to change, I think, in between this and the release of the game, but there is a lot that needs like nerfed or like even made stronger.
Mm-hmm.
For kind of all the classes. I feel like Rogue was the one that like didn't stand out the most, though, in the sense of like people were like, oh, this is super broken. But Barbarian and Sorcerer just have some like really broken things to them.
Yeah, like everyone who plays Barbarian, you like pretty much have to do Whirlwind.
Yeah, a lot of people do Whirlwind, or like the Thorns, or just like if you build it right early on, it's super, super powerful. And I know we're only on like Torment 2, which I wish they would have like at least Torment 3 on there. But they only have 5 Torments, I think, in this one.
Oh, okay.
5 or 6. I don't know off the top of my head. But as a whole, I think that what we got to play flows really good.
Mm-hmm. I like the world, like that, massive world that we just get to, explore. Kind of different from Diablo 3, where the world's broken up into those sections. So you would travel to that section, and then you'd like rediscover.
It's
I like
all connected in this one.
Yeah, I like this one being all connected, and then them making a bunch of dungeons, and that's like the random generated maps, if that's how they did it at the same time.
They're not random generated.
Not anymore.
Nope. Well, the dungeons are. I don't know if we're gonna have some sort of. I don't know what like all the in-game stuff is, but the dungeons are the same every time you go through them.
Gotcha.
And I noticed that playing like a different character, I was like, okay, the quest and the dungeons are identical in every dungeon. I think the only thing that can be randomized is like the actual mobs, numbers that are in the dungeons, or like maybe it pools from the type of mobs in the area. Because they did say in this Diablo, it's going to be like the only mobs you're going to see in the ice caves are like the ice creatures. You're not going to, or demons or something or whatever. You're not going to see the swamp monsters in the ice cave. Like in Diablo 3, it just would your throw.
It's just all, it's like random.
Yeah, it's set to the biomes. So, I would say that the game is a Diablo game. I don't think it's anything like super. And it's so early to say. Like, that's the thing. I'm not like giving this a review in the sense of like, oh my god, this is what we're getting, because the game doesn't start until the first season comes out, in my opinion. And the first season doesn't come out when the game releases. It comes out like a month later.
Okay.
And at least that's what I think.
I'd say Yeah, like Diablo, I feel like the game also doesn't really start until you reach like the max level, until you get to like the end game. The leveling up part, that's just, you're learning the class, you're finding out what you want to do, and obviously just getting them to that level. But like once you hit like,
it's still a majority of the game where it's gotta be entertaining. There's gotta be things to do. It can't be super repetitive. Like, it's gotta be worth going through the grind and feeling like, okay, I'm still having a good time leveling my character. But like I said, it feels like a Diablo game, so it doesn't feel like Path of Exiles, and I mean it kind of does, but I think they're trying to make it more like Path of Exiles, but it still feels like a Diablo game, which is good, but I think it's also could be a bad thing. Like, it's not very what's the word for it?
Proprietary or
no,
stands out.
Yeah, it doesn't really stand out except for the fact that it's like really gory again. It's dark. The graphics are phenomenal. I will give them that. As of right now, from level 1 to 25, doing the beta, it doesn't feel like insanely different. There is a lot of things that are different, but I don't know. I don't feel like there's enough that I've played in that beta to give it like an actual like verdict if I think somebody should get it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's a freaking $70 price tag too, minimum.
Right.
That always bums me out. Yeah. But yeah. I mean, the only way I could see like recommending this game is if like, oh, did you like Diablo 3? Are you a Diablo fan? Then yeah, I could safely say like, get this Diablo. But
and you like ARPGs and stuff like that. Like you like that kind of grind or playthrough. I had a ton of fun. Don't get me wrong, I had a lot of fun playing the game.
Yeah,
it looks awesome. I'm excited to play all the classes. But I'm excited for the season content. I'm excited to see how the story plays out, and I'm excited. Like, the cutscenes are super good. The interactive side quests, I think, are really, really good, and there's a ton of side quests. And I know some of them are like, oh, just go to this cave, run the cave, you're done. But still, I mean, that's an ARPG game. I mean, that's what it is.
You kind of get a little bit more lore into like why we're exploring this cave and why this cave's here or something like that, or what's the boss in the cave. What else was I? The skill tree, I thought that was pretty cool. How kind of big that one is and how you can kind of play around with it, and then like the gear you can get that puts points into it, so you could find gear that gives you a skill, and you can once so like if you can put 5 points into a skill, but you have a piece of gear that puts a point into that skill, you can go past the 5. You can go up to 6. And I even saw, even when I did that, it'll still show next level. So you could probably, there's probably going to, I mean, we're dealing with low level gear. I mean, this is kind of obvious, but we might find gear that's like puts a bunch of points into a single point. I don't know how far it's going to go, but right now, one of the things I had issue with Diablo 3 is like you pretty much had to have set gear to get those set bonuses. In this Diablo, they're doing away with the set gear, and it's just going to be legendaries, and I think that's going to be so much.
There is rarity above legendary. Like in Diablo 3, you had like those legendaries, then you had like berserkers or whatever they're called. Like
wasn't it like ancient legendary
or something like that? You're gonna have that too in this one.
Yeah,
but
cool.
You're not gonna have like set pieces.
Right. Yeah. I like the set pieces are cool because it was just like it takes abilities and like amplifies them even more. But I think like when you play those characters, it's like, all right, what set am I going for this run? Like, you're just like, I have to run a set. You can't.
I will still say that this game is still gonna have, like every game, a meta. Like there's still gonna be like barbarians who are like, okay,
this piece of gear
is
gonna
the
be
gear that you're looking for. for a whirlwind build, this is the only type of points. These are the only aspects you should put your points into. This is the best whirlwind build. Or sorcerer, I'm trying to do a meteor build. It's like, okay, well, these are everything you need to do for a meteor build. Don't stray away from this. You're still going to have that with that game just because that's just how it is. And a lot of people were like, oh, I'm so confused with like the tree and everything, and I'm so overwhelmed. And like YouTubers and stuff were like, don't be. He's like, just wait a week and you're going to do everything that everybody else does, and you're going to do the exact same thing everybody else does. I mean, that's just how these ARPGs work.
Yeah,
but
any sort of gear building kind of stuff, everyone's always going to have these guys. I mean, so one of the reasons why I like Diablo is when I played Diablo 3, I never really looked up any like what's the best gear this season or whatever. I mean, I didn't really play seasons. I played the game how I kind of wanted to play. Like I said, I build my characters as if like they're an all cold build or an all lightning build. And I could look up like, oh, what's a all lightning build? But I would find skills in there that I would just want to use. Like you could have, there's like in like Diablo 3, it was like you could have this one skill, but like there's a lightning variation or like a fire has the variation, so you can like do the same skills but like have the different variations of them.
Right.
With that, I think that made it easier. But you can technically play Diablo however you want. It's not as it's not you don't have to play it as if it's super competitive, and that's what I like about it. It's like if I'm going into PvP, maybe then I'll look up what's the best sorcerer PvP build, because now I'm competing. I want to be the best. I can't just, what's my favorite way to play against other players? It's like, what is technically the best? Because if I play the way I want to play, but then someone's using the absolute or proven way to be better
at the time.
Yeah.
Usually it runs off of like what skills are getting nerfed and buffed at the time of the next patch. That's kind of how metas run. So it's like, if you're using Chain Lightning on your sorcerer, and then they're like, okay, it's way too powerful, so then they like nerf it, tends to like get filtered out of meta, because they're like, okay, well, now that this guy, if you look at the damage numbers on this, because there are people who do the spreadsheets for all this stuff, and then you look at the spreadsheet and it's like, okay, well, I can do more damage with fireball or whatever, firebolt or whatever now.
Yeah.
There's no point in me using this for the same cost of just using a firebolt. I'm going to swap it over because I'm still going to be able to clear content at a fast speed and not hinder myself. So, and then, or you can just keep your lightning build. Like, you have obviously the ability to do that. But a lot of people are giving the beta a lot of flack. And a lot of people are like, I can't believe it took them 10 years to make this game, kind of thing, and all that. And I'm like, dude,
I think this is a pretty big upgrade from Diablo 3.
I think so,
Diablo
too.
3 kind of felt kind of arcadey game to me. This kind of feels more of an actual game you play at home. Yeah. And when I mean arcade, I mean it felt like I was playing it off of a fucking arcade machine, and like these are the types of games you would find at an arcade. Or what was the one, Medieval or something like that, or Gauntlet, something like kind of like that. Great game, by the way. But
I will say the only thing I don't like so far in the beta or now is enemy density, and I think it's too small.
I think what they were trying,
it was in the dungeons, but they like said that like, well, we didn't want the world to be overwhelming like in Diablo 3, because you're going to be mounting, and the whole goal is just to run to point A to point B and get into the dungeons, and then the dungeons will be fuller. I will say there are some dungeons that we were doing where I felt like, okay, cool, I know we're only on tier 2, but what made Diablo so fun was like jumping into something and then having like 200 things on the screen, and you're like, I'm fighting all 200 things at once and just decimating them.
I mean, but like,
hope that's still there for endgame.
I mean, if you look at like Diablo 1 and Diablo 2, the way that game was played was significantly different.
Yeah.
So I think they were trying to kind of go back to more of like original Diablo feel, but still having the Diablo 3, what works for Diablo 3. So I think kind of finding that middle ground. I've also really liked how the elites are in the game.
Oh yeah,
they're not highlighted. Like sometimes
awesome.
I go like, this guy's taking a while to die, and I'm like, oh wait, this must be an elite.
Yeah, it says it on their name. It says, it's in parentheses, but if you ever see an icon under their name, that's I've
noticed
attribute.
That. But you know, the enemies having the, you know, walling abilities or the like spinning arcane turret or whatever, they've like minimalized it so much where it kind of blends in a little bit with the world, and they don't like the beams don't shoot out as far. The walls are destroyable. The like ice grenades, they kind of blend in with the world so much more. Like in Diablo 3, we could be in that one area where it's like almost pitch black in that swampy area, you know what I'm talking about? Or like the oasis that's in Act 2. Like if you were in there and the, you know, ice grenades are going off, the arcane turrets, it's like the brightest thing on the screen, and it's just like, okay, I'm like tunnel visioning those and dodging them, but like these, everything's a little bit, it feels like everything is in that world when it comes to like those sort of attacks.
Yeah, I think they did a better job at that.
Enemies aren't highlighted too. You can turn on to like highlight your character with like a green outline or like your allies, so you can more see them, but I left all that stuff off. I wanted to.
I think the only thing I want to turn on is like my player name, because I like seeing my player name. You can't see yours, but you can see other people's. I just wanted to, I don't know if you can turn it on, but I would like to turn it on. I
like leaving mine off. I like leaving, you know, friends on so I can see where they're at more. But like even in World of Warcraft, I leave friends in, mine off. Kind of feel like you're actually like those characters are just there, not like.
Really, in World of Warcraft, I had
maybe I leave I leave the friendly names on too.
Well, you know, and you get titles and WoW, and it's like I want to see my title and.
Sure.
Boy, my hair looks fucking gross. So that Diablo I've been playing this weekend. Yeah, I probably won't get on it tonight, though.
I won't. I'll be editing this podcast.
Yeah. You know, the beta's over tomorrow at 12, and it's like... I did everything I wanted. I got to 25. I played 2 characters. I'm not really excited to play the Sorcerer, so it's like, okay. It's kind of like on my bottom. The Rogue's really fun. But I don't really like the bow side of the Rogue. I like the dagger side and the dual wielding side of the Rogue.
I do like that you can switch between being a range or blades on the Rogue. I think
at the same time. It's
I think that's so cool, and it pretty much makes it like it's almost 2 classes in one class in a way.
Yeah, and I know the Demon Hunter had that, but like the Demon Hunter was very focused on using like bow and crossbow over its daggers.
Yes.
Abilities, really, you just had like a dagger throw ability.
Which I think
you could build a dagger build with a certain set, which I had, and it was good for one season or a couple seasons, but it's definitely pushed more to be like a crossbow wielder. This one feels like a classic Rogue, D&D style Rogue, where it's like, okay, I can. And when I switched over to the dual wielding, I was jumping all around and like getting behind people and like impaling them and then jumping across so that dagger would then fly to me and go through a bunch of people, and I was like, this is fucking sick. And then I didn't play it again. But I think it's because I started off with the bow and I was like, And then I played the Barbarian, and I was like, this is dope. I like this a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm excited still to play it. Is it worth $70 right now to me? No.
Don't know.
No. But it's too early to say. I've only played to 25.
Yeah.
And I didn't even finish Act 1. I did 1 world boss.
I wasn't too worried about finishing Act 1 because it's like, whatever I don't do, I'm going to do when the game comes out. I mean, that's going to be, I
think I'm on the last quest of Act 1. Or last set of quests, because I know like each quest has like a certain quest in it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play the druid. That's really the only thing I want to play.
I'm ready to. I want to give that necromancer a try. I want to try all of them because I think when the game comes out, I don't think I probably won't have enough time to play all the other classes in the next beta too. I mean, I barely played the sorcerer. Well, I almost played the sorcerer to its fullest, but
you played enough of the sorcerer to understand like, okay, this is
how it's played. Yeah. When the game comes out, I might try a couple classes before I decide, okay, this is the one so I might be a little behind you on.
That doesn't matter though. Yeah. That game I think is
it's pretty forgiving as far as like I'm a low level, you're a high level.
Forgiving for that stuff. Like they take that in consideration of like if you're playing with friends, most people aren't like going through everything together. Most games have a system that scales things properly, and Diablo's different in the sense like if you're behind and I got to go back and do other quests, I'm still gaining XP and shit. So I just for the story quests you don't get anything, but like side quests you still get stuff.
Connor, you said something about this, but I'm really hoping for ways to upgrade your inventory. I kind of felt like the inventory was a little small.
Yeah, once I started getting gems.
Yeah, especially gems. Like, you're like, man, it fills up quick. Well, gems stack, but that takes up all the slots of like.
Well, each color though is its own gem. So I agree. In Diablo 3, you had to do like challenges or something to get stuff or finish games like on certain difficulties or finish the campaign on certain difficulties.
I think it'd be cool if there was a slot for in your gear slot for like bags. So like you would want to find larger bags.
That would be cool. My guess is you're gonna have to pay
hefty dollar for inventory space.
I think you're gonna have to pay real money for inventory space, buddy. I think there's gonna be a couple that you can like in the stash. You can buy a couple with gold, and even loadouts. I think because there's loadouts for transmog. I think those are gonna be tied behind a real old dollar.
Mm-hmm.
A real old dollar.
That's a real whole dollar.
Yeah. I'd be like, damn.
God damn.
God dang it.
Take your hat off, boy. That's a dollar bill.
I gotta now I gotta spend $1. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I liked how Diablo 3 had like gem bags and shit. You could write them out. So it's like, oh, I could put all my gems in this one. And then because I played a lot of that game, and my inventory on my characters and my stash is just loaded with hundreds of thousands of gems.
Oh.
Thousands of gems.
I thought you filled it with like pink insulation.
No, I eat that.
Gross.
It's good. It's like it's like strawberry cotton candy. I enjoyed it. I didn't play Destiny at all this weekend. Almost did.
Good fucking job, bud. Good job.
I miss it.
Yeah.
I miss it a lot.
Well, that's what happens when you quit drugs.
Yeah, probably gonna go right back to it tonight.
After we made all this progress.
Well, I almost got on it to do a raid, and then Derek logged on right. It's like he knew, like he's like my sponsor. He knew I was about ready to jump back into it, and he logged in, and that's when I was like, oh, I'm free. And I didn't get on. But it was a lot of fun. Would I say it was worth the $70?
Too early to tell.
Too early to tell. You can hate it as much as you want. I think people are giving it too much hate, and I think it's too early. Play the other beta, make your decision there, and then wait until the game comes out and see what other people think when the seasons come out. I think it's going to come down to how do these seasons work. What kind of content is going to be in the season? Is it going to be enough content for players to feel that it's worth getting the seasons? And then is it going to be enough content to keep the game going?
Yeah,
this.
because like, end game is pretty important for a Diablo game. Mostly,
ARPGs.
most games now. I did kind of think that the end game for Diablo 3
Non-existent.
is basically, it's non-existent. I mean, you're just running the rifts, which are like the random maps, random
Yeah.
enemies, and then there's a boss at the end, and it's just like
you're just running rifts, pushing it, and you're doing seasons, which is just like doing seasonal challenges to play on a leaderboard. And they said that that's still going to be a thing in this one, but there's also going to be like normalized seasons, and we're supposed to get like every season we're supposed to get like a story quest or something, like a campaign style quest with cutscenes and stuff like that. And then there's going to be like events that are going on in the sense of like, okay, in an era you might see a lot more goat men taking shit over and doing like goat men events, but does that mean that we're just going to have like an upscaled amount of events that we were running into? I mean, that's cool and all, but that's kind of not really new content. It would be different if it was like, okay, we added like 3 new dungeons for this season, and these dungeons are a little longer and they pertain to the story of the season.
Mm-hmm.
That's new. And we trickle them out. Like you get the first one in the first 2 weeks, and the next 2 weeks you get the next 2 or something like that. I don't know how they're going to do it, and I don't think anybody really knows how they're going to do it. It's just kind of what they were saying.
I mean, coming up with an end game and something like that, fuck, what do you do?
I don't know.
I'm not the idea guy.
Well, there's plenty to do because Path of Exiles has.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
they're
crushing
to like what
it.
they do, and people list out like what they have. Like they have world bosses, raids, dungeons, rift style stuff, PvP, and then there's like hundreds of other shit. And then they're like, okay, not only that, let's list out the dungeons, and then they list like 400 plus dungeons, and then they're like, okay, now let's list out the raid bosses, and they have like 6 or 7 raid bosses, and then they have like a shit ton of seasonal events. And I mean, there's plenty of shit to do. I think Blizzard's just really bad at making endgame.
Yeah, I think so too.
So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping it's good. Like I said, if it's not, I'll just keep playing Destiny as much as I play Destiny. But I would like Destiny and Diablo just to be my games. Forever and always never, and always them, and never ever anything else, and never touch anything ever again.
It's not going to happen.
Why?
Why not?
Well, I hope Starfield gets in there too.
Starfield's going to wedge his way in there. Well, alrighty. Well, let's take this on to the after show. So, guys, thank you for watching. We're gonna move on to our paying customers.